My recording's looking pretty crazy right now. But let's start back over, you know. I was referring to, you know, the Kendrick Lamar situation. And if this goes out, if the live stream goes out for a second time, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to start over with another video, and then I'll just record it off that, and I'll, you know, I like to do live videos, so at least it gives people the idea to know that, hey, we're out here, y'all can come out and y'all can do all the wild stuff. But for now, you know, we're just out here messing around, training and doing a lot of nonsense. So it's nothing to me. But I want to make sure that don't happen again. And if it does, I want to be as prepared, because I want my fans to know, that, you know, as little as it is, that once you guys grow your team, and you're welcome to do whatever kind of buffoonery in, you know, the stream is you want. But back to what I was saying, you know, pretty much, during this whole situation of the new rappers, you know, where did it all go wrong? Because we had all these successful rappers coming into place, you know, just doing a lot of decent things, you know, just being great talent, and just amongst many other things out there. You know, we've had success, we have multi-platinum singles, you know, albums, you know, a lot of stuff. So you'd ask yourself, like, where did it all go wrong? Nothing went wrong, but but a lot of things changed. You know what I mean? I always want to say that, because you can't blame someone for, damn it, Junkyard, or Junkrat, whatever your name is. But you can't blame someone for, you can't blame someone for, you know, you can't necessarily blame someone for doing nonsense, right? You can't blame someone for, you know, being the reason that something happened. You know what I mean? You can't say, oh, this ruined it. You know, I will never say that such and such was the reason why, because that's not fair. What I can say was, a lot has changed over the years. A lot have changed over time, because it made people think. It made people open their eyes and say, yo, what the fuck happened? You know? And if we're lying, you've seen the title. It was Kendrick, you know? It was Kendrick Lamar. You know, for those who might not know too much about hip-hop during the golden age, you know, I already told you the people who existed and the people who were in, you know, on top of the genre and whatnot, the new school, XYZ, blah, blah, blah. But what I can tell you, what not too many people know, is during this time, you know, this was like a peer type of thing. A lot of rappers were teaming up during this time, and they were giving us some of the best tracks. A lot of rappers were coming up, you know, giving us some dope shit, you know, a lot of rappers were giving us some fire behind production, you know, when the people existed. So yeah, you had, you know, pretty much like the Kendricks and all the other people that I've named, though I kept naming in my previous stream. But one day it all changed when a certain track happened. Now usually you would see posse like One Train, or the track with DJ Khaled that had J. Cole and Kendrick, right? You know, you had Drake hop on a couple of tracks with these people, like the fucking Problems track, the effing Problems track, A$AP Rocky. You know, it was just so much, you know, in that time span. You know what I mean? A lot of posse tracks, a lot of people were teaming up, making some of the dopest music, until Big Sean decided that Kendrick hopped on Control. And when Kendrick hopped on Control, you had that infamous verse where he, one, he proclaimed himself to be King of New York. And two, he called himself out as one of the legends to be debated with Andre 3000, Nas, Eminem, Jay-Z in barbershops and other places, and considered anyone, even the people he was rapping on, considerably specifically in that list, Jay Electronica and Big Sean on the track he was with. He called him out, and he pretty much was just like, you know, I'm here to raise the bar high on my competition, you know, and I don't think you guys have what it takes to mess with me unless you're willing to step your bars up. Now, why did that change hip-hop so much?
Group up.
Many ways. Well, first and foremost, before I go on another long-winded explanation as to why, I want to go out and say that
I claim this objective.
I want to go out and say that, and a lot of people might not agree with this, but this is fact.
60 seconds.
I have the upper hand this time.
No rapper in any industry, period. It can be sports, music. It's just regular ass nature too. But this is facts, and this is specifically in this point, and Kendrick kind of showed why. No rapper, especially during that time, ever, nobody wants to. Album's phenomenal, but a lot of people's eyes are on J. Cole. Even when he had that Back to the Future mixtape, nobody was really worried about Wale. They were worried more about J. Cole and the other features that was on there. It kind of sucks because you would think that Wale was the chosen one during that time of 2009, especially when he was fresh. You got things to pop, part of Rock Nation, a lot of things. But it was really J. Cole that swept the rug over his feet by stealing the spotlight on his grip, and it sucked because you never noticed it. No one noticed that. But people were like, alright, because it wasn't a big deal. And like I said, Wale was still able to have a successful career once he left Interscope and went to Warner Brothers and teamed up with Maybach Music alongside Pierre Big Mill, you know, when he signed with Rick Ross. So with Ambition actually being successful, it was cool. And then you had Gifted Rock doing wonderful numbers. And Wale having top 10 hits, it did, at that point, it was cool. You know what I mean? At that point, you know, it didn't matter. Because, you know, at that point, when you look at what the class was, he still was a part of it. So when you had Mac Miller come out there and do what he did, and Kendrick do what they, everyone's doing these things or having these posse cuts. If somebody was outshining somebody, like One Train where Big Crit outshined everybody, all 6 motherfuckers on that track, then it was fine. It was perfectly fine and nobody cared. The problem with Control compared to the other posse cuts, despite it being a 3-person track, was with no hook, was because, and thank God that Kendrick did not, Big Sean did not put that on his album, right? You know what did DJ Academics say? Because the real reason, and I'm not gonna put it out there like Academics did, was that you know, the real reason was that when you heard Control, you know, Big Sean wasn't able to make it, put the track on his album because of sample clearances. You know, we hear about sample clearance issues every fucking time when it comes to these songs. Is why it's even worse in hip hop now. But academics say he heard Kendrick's voice and was like, no, not on my album. Which, you know, is a reach, but I believe the sample clearance thing more than even if Big Sean didn't want to have, even if Big Sean didn't want it to look bad, like be another Beautiful Bliss, at least Big Sean had a real good reason why he couldn't make his album. Hall of Fame, by the way. But it didn't really help. It didn't really make a difference anyway. And that's where I get to the point. When you look at Control and, you know, what happened, Kendrick, you know, like, the attention to him just freaking projected. It was nothing. Like, Kendrick came out and people were like, oh, shoot, this is Kendrick. This man's here to stay. Initially, they hated and they were mad and they were like, he sucks and blah, blah, blah. But, you know, it just... that was the initial stuff. That was just people who were fans. People who didn't like the fact that he called himself a speaker and blah, blah, blah. They got over that real quick. Everyone knows that they got over that real quick. Because once they did, Kendrick ended up being, you know, a serious threat. You know? He just... He became such a big deal. And the problem was, it'd be one thing if Kendrick was such a big deal, but when you look at 2014, 2015, you kinda saw more people kind of just distance themselves away from each other as peers. Now they were doing it before, but it's starting to look very obvious. And that is no one's fault of any kind. No one's at fault. I don't think anyone was to blame. I don't think anyone is to blame. I just think this was just coincidence. You know, people just was whatever with it. So, you know, I don't think it was that. I think what ended up happening was that, you know, people just, they saw what Kendrick was doing. And I really mean this. Nobody wants competition. Everyone hates being outshined. No one likes to be outshined. No one, trust me, if they get outshined, then the attention is no longer there. Attention is no longer there for them. And it's hard to get that attention. Like, it's not like Drake, where Drake now can, like, suffer a humiliating loss to someone like Pusha T, you know. Let's say Pusha T dropped Story of Adidon back in 2013 while he was still a peer. It would still be hard, but it wouldn't have been as bad. You know, if Pusha T would have dropped Story of Adidon, let's say around 2009, during his So Far Gone days, or his comeback season days, Drake's career would have been finished. Like, that's fact. That's a fact. If Story of Adidon, because, you know, a track like Exodus 234, which a lot of people said was for Wayne, it was, but it was more for Drake. Like, when you pull up the lyrics, Pusha T was going at Drake. It just seemed like Wayne, if anything, it was a glorified Wayne stray. By the way, in case anyone's listening to me on the game, I'm just streaming. So, thank you for tolerating me. But I'm just talking BS. But yeah, you know, like, if those songs from, all Wayne did was he caught a stray with Exodus. But really, you know, what ended up happening was that what was that, you know, when the Exodus came out, you know, it felt like Drake had something to prove. So, at least in that aspect, you know, Drake was still able to go back and forth between the two for that long until he took it now in hip-hop. But it is what it is. You know what I mean? But
Bad guys, hands up.
But during that time, you know, Drake could afford losses because he took an L to Common. You know, when he dropped Stay Scheming and Common had that response, like Common gave Drake the L and he was able to survive off that. You know, and plus people, you know, believe it or not, they took Drake seriously as an MC, but not a battle rap MC anyway. People just hated Drake because he was big. But Drake was still able to make them hits and have a successful career. And Common was kind of on the outs of his career. It wasn't like he was going up against any serious threats. I mean, Common was a threat, but not enough to end Drake's life, you know. And if you think he was, you know, we need to stop the cap on that. You know what I mean? And Common knew that. And Common even said it on Vlad. Well, you know, he said the reason he beefed with Drake was stupid. And, you know,
Enemy turret ahead.
Oh, but you know, it was crazy. You know, it's crazy when you really think about it, and that was it. You know, no rapper has that toughness like Kendrick, J. Cole, and all of them. They just didn't have the opportunity to compete, and they knew that if anyone, like J. Cole even admitted now in an interview, in like in a book, I think. To promote the fall off, like J. Cole admitted, like he said that one of the reasons why he never put features on his album, he did features, but he never put features on the album, was because he did not want to be outshined, and that proved it. So when Control came out, you know, Big Sean, I disagree with Big Sean, you know, Hall of Fame didn't do the numbers that it did. Then Papoose came and got disrespectful. Then Papoose came and got disrespectful. Who's Papoose, by the way? You know what I mean? But you had all that, you know, Big Sean's promo kind of just went down the drain. And thank you. Appreciate whoever healed me. That was awesome. But Big Sean's, you know, promo kind of went down the drain, and it was pretty bad for Big Sean. I mean, the good thing Big Sean managed to bounce back with Dark Sky Blue Paradise. It's Dark Sky Paradise, not Dark Sky Blue Paradise. I don't know who called it that. But you know,
Activating the barrier. I am claiming the objective.
Dope. Oh shit, I'm dead.
Enemy radar contact.
But it was awesome. It was awesome to see Big Sean come back. But during that whole situation, what stunk was that people just stopped, you know, messing with each other. Like literally, you remember the year you watched 2014, you didn't get to see too many artists team up. Like literally, you know, Drake started teaming up with people who weren't really taking MCing like very seriously during that time.
Focus with me.
Like Drake was doing that. Like Drake did that one. Even though Drake said he regretted doing the track with Rich Homie Quan, which by the way, if Drake was on that track with Rich Homie Quan, some type of way, that would have been boss. Like Drake was sounding very fire on that track. But either way, he did Versace, and he never looked back. He started working with artists like the Migos, started using the Migo triplet flow. You know, once he started doing music with less MCs and more just hot, trendy artists, like the Migos, the Fetty Waps, you know, the Migos, the Fetty Waps, the fucking, you know, the Chicago drill rappers, like Drill Reachers, you know, Drake was doing less songs with the, less and less songs with the MCs, so to speak, and more with the trendy artists. Like, it was like Drake to transition. J. Cole too, like J. Cole, you know, when he released 2014 Force Field Drive, you know, going platinum with no features, you know, he didn't really have too many MCs on his fucking list. It was, you know, same thing with Wale, you know, they started going solo. Big Sean too, even though he had Drake on Dark Side Paradise, you know, awesome, he won one round, that's awesome. Even though he didn't have Dark Sky Paradise on the album, or he didn't Dark Sky Paradise on the album. What the fuck am I saying? No,
I don't like this standing around.
You know, even though he didn't have Dark Sky Paradise, I just said it again. Even though he had Drake on Dark Sky Paradise, he didn't really have too many MCs on there outside of Kanye and Lil Wayne. You know what I mean? You know, it's like a lot of peers started moving towards their own solo art rather than just team up with their peers. And that's fine, because as an artist you want to grow, and you don't always have to, and sometimes, you know, separation, you know, will take that, you know what I mean? It just depends on who's doing it. The more artists were separating themselves, Drake started chasing hits. You know, and fuck what fucking Hip Hop DX said. Kendrick ain't, I don't care what anyone says, Kendrick ain't make Drake stop dropping the classic. That's a stupid comment. That was a dumb comment in itself. Oh, Kendrick made Drake not chase classics. Like, no, Use is a classic. I don't care what Fantano or anyone says. You know what I mean? I may not be a huge fan of it, but it was decent. Scorpion, I thought was dope too. I think that album was very overrated, in my opinion. Maybe you can hate on the R&B side, that's cool, but I thought the rap side was great. You know, I fucking thought the rap side was a fucking classic. I think people were just hating just to fucking hate. And that's the fact. People know that. They know that. The R&B may be forgettable, but I thought some of the tracks on the rap side was fucking dope. You know what I mean? It may not age all that well, but I thought it was great. Y'all know that. But either way, you know, you say what you want. You know what I mean? But a lot of MCs started working on their own stuff, stopped teaming up with other artists, and it just became more of an adult type thing, rather than a let's go around. I mean, you gotta also keep in mind, these dudes, when they first came in, they first blew up, they were all in their 20s. Like, these were young people, like Cudi, Drake, Kendrick, J. Cole. Like, these dudes were these dudes were in their early 20s. So it wasn't like, you know, wait, am I on the healing? Well, we on the, yeah, we're on the game point. So it wasn't like, you know,
Going free.
I am on. Check. Enemy turret ahead.
So it wasn't like, you know,
Here it comes.
it's awesome. 53, it's awesome.
Enemy turret ahead.
Огонь по
So it
готовности.
wasn't like,
Get in there, Bob.
so it wasn't like, you know, it wasn't like, it wasn't like, these were grown ass men as MCs. You know, like Mac Miller, rest in peace. He's my age. When he came out, he was literally my age as a teenager when he blew up. When he blew up with the Donald Trump and stuff like that. He was my age. You know what I mean? You know, Wale was in his early 20s. He was